international obligations and commitments. And with that, I'd be happy to take your questions.
Thanks, Heather.
Matt, you want to start?
Yeah, please. I want to ask you about some comments that National Security Advisor Ambassador Bolton made yesterday about the International Criminal Court. I'm sure there'll be other questions about Palestinians too, but mine are about the ICC. In his speech at the Federalist Society, Ambassador Bolton said that if they, meaning the ICC, come after us, essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, we'll go after them. He said that the U.S. would impose sanctions on ICC employees, prosecutors, judges, even bring charges against them in the U.S. And I'd like to know, what legal authority does the administration think it has to do such a thing, to either freeze assets or impose travel bans or even prosecute?
Well, Matt, as you all know, we don't get ahead of announcements or some decisions or deliberations that the U.S. government may be making or may be taking in the future. So I'm not going to get ahead of anything that the administration may or may not be doing, and I would just have to refer you over to Ambassador Bolton's, his communications staff to answer your questions on that in particular. I can speak about our concerns about the international, the ICC.
I think that we heard plenty of the concerns yesterday from Ambassador Bolton. He outlined them quite clearly. I don't think we need to go through those together again. But what I do want to know, if this is not a hypothetical question, he said that this would happen, that the U.S. will impose sanctions on individual ICC employees as well as prosecute them. And I want to know, where does he and the rest of the administration, presuming the rest of the administration signed off on this, where does the administration think that it gets the legal authority to do something like that?
Matt, once again, I will say it again, and one last time, I'm not going to forecast any potential sanctions or actions or activities that the U.S. government may take in the future.
I'm not asking for forecasting. No, I'm asking you what authority the administration thinks it has to do something.
And for
like
any
that.
additional information on that, I'd have to refer you to Ambassador Bolton's staff. I can tell you, however, that here in the United States, the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, is our highest legal authority and our highest judicial authority.
That's wonderful.
And that is, I'm sorry, maybe you don't care to hear that, but maybe there are others out there who do. The administration, and my job is to help discuss U.S. policy and our beliefs here at the State Department as a part of this administration.
Ambassador Bolton didn't discuss his speech with any of the State Department?
No,
doesn't
we are
know
fully
what the
aware
legal
and fully
jurisdiction
informed of this speech, but for the specifics, if you're interested in jumping ahead and looking at what actions we may or may not take in the future, then I'd refer you to Ambassador Bolton's office, and I'd be more than happy to put you in touch with his people.
Runs American diplomacy, or did, to answer a question that is should be pretty easy to answer, or I mean, I don't get it. Because
thank you for your opinions, Matt. I'll go over to Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, thanks. And by the way, Jennifer Hansler is our new producer to the Bullpen, so you'll be seeing her around a lot.
Welcome. Thank you.
Bolton also said that he thinks that it can take away from a country's maturation if others are prosecuting their war criminals, and it prevents them from making the tough decisions. And later in his speech, he said the same thing when he was pressed by reporters. Does the State Department share that view? Because, the ICC is only supposed to work, its purpose is when an individual country's justice system isn't set up or working properly.
I think the preference is always for other countries to have a strong and independent judicial system. That is why we do not adhere to the International Criminal Court, because we have such a strong and independent judicial system here in the United States, not only for our U.S. service members, but obviously for our United States citizens as well. The preference is always for other countries to have that same type of model. Unfortunately, there are some countries that don't have that type of model, where in certain instances, and it's different. Every situation is different. If you're looking at Burma, it's a different type of situation. If you're looking at tragedies that have happened in Rwanda, that's a different type of situation. Sometimes tribunals are applied, sometimes other types of systems are applied as well.
When Ambassador Bolton said that countries who would cooperate with the ICC on inquiries on Americans or Israel or other allies, and then today countries like Germany and France says that they will continue to cooperate with the ICC, would that mean that those countries close allies of the United States would face consequences?
I'm not going to get ahead of any decisions or any steps that the United States government may take. But one of the key principles of this administration, and it's laid out in our national security strategy as well, is sovereignty. And that each country has its own sovereign rights, including our own. And encompassed in our own sovereign right is the fact that we have a fair and independent judiciary. We feel that that fair and independent judiciary more than backs up and takes care of any judicial issues that would that would be in front of U.S. citizens and also U.S. service members.
Would you say that even close allies of the United States that would cooperate with the ICC would face consequences, sanctions?
Again, you're asking me to forecast sanctions, and I'll say I think this is the fourth or fifth time. If Ambassador Bolton wants to say that, that's certainly his right to do so. I don't speak for Ambassador Bolton, and we're in obviously very different positions, very different positions in government.
The State Department doesn't know what Ambassador
Well, Matt,
Bolton's
you're
talking
flat out
about.
wrong. Okay,
Well,
you're flat out
then
wrong.
you should be able to explain it.
Okay, I don't need you.
With respect,
yelling
Heather,
at me today.
You should be able to explain what exactly his threats and warnings were about,
And I think that's
what
why
they're
I
based
say,
in.
and I will say this one last time, we are not going to forecast actions, activities, sanctions, and other steps. And I will leave it at that. Saeed, go right ahead.
Thank you, Heather. I have a very quick question for you. Over the weekend,